Hello. Lovely to see you.
I'm thrilled you're on the show. Thank you so much for joining.
I'm thrilled to be here, sitting with a giant cojones.
Yeah, well, you say cojones because you just came back from Mexico, didn't you?
Yeah, lots of cojones there, and they're always scratching them.
Wow, yes.
The waiters come up and say, "What do you want?"
Nothing that you've touched.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that work or pleasure? Why were you out there?
No, it was entirely pleasure. Wow. And lots of mojitos and margaritas.
Wow, so you enjoy a drink?
Yeah, yeah, do I? Cocktails, yes.
Yes, well, it's a great invention.
Yeah, it is.
OK.
And anywhere where you can hear the sort of confiding chink of a cocktail shaker is my idea of heaven.
It's a nice place to be.
It really is.
What an incredible career. There's so much we could talk about. I mean, I grew up loving you in the Avengers, but let's get onto that maybe later. First of all, let's talk about what you're doing now, because on Game of Thrones, every scene you're in, I adore. You're setting the screen on fire. Were you a fan of the show before they came and asked you to be in it?
I hadn't seen it at all, but the writers are absolutely great, and they give me wonderful scenes. And I'm not supposed to give the game away, but in the next season, I do have a scene where...
Hold on. So I'm going to give you a spoiler alert now.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you can't get cross with us. And if you're in the audience, you don't want to hear cover your ears, but...
No, it doesn't really spoil anything.
Oh, in that case, uncover your ears. It's okay.
And I walk into this whorehouse, which has been trashed, and I'm surrounded by bits of dildo because they've decided that dildos in those times were made with clay. So they're sort of kind of bits of clay dildo everywhere. And I thought, this is rather nice. I could have a photograph taken and use it in my next birthday card.
Well, it sounds almost like a scene from EastEnders, doesn't it, Danny?
Well, it sounds like a proper gaff, I know that.
Did you know I had money on you, that being one of the first things you said? You know, I just want to bet there. Yeah, that you I just walked in and saw a load of shit and clay dildos.
And if people haven't seen it yet, and I don't know who's watching, how would you describe Lady Helena? How would you describe that character?
Well, she's an old bag, isn't she? I mean, she's evil and naughty, and she survived long after everybody else gets killed off in one way or another. It's rather interesting when I meet people who see it and the people who don't see it, and the people who see it are obviously interested in incest and sodomy and all the sexual permutations.
All the intrigues.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great for that, isn't it? And also limbs being chopped off and all sorts of stuff.
Well, it's violent, it's full-on, it's sexual, and it's also
But
drama.
it's witty as well, which is what I love about it.
But you play a tough woman, and you've played tough women a lot in your career, haven't you? I mean, the interesting thing about when you look back at the Avengers, I grew up thinking, and I think this was the line that was handed out, that you were this very strong feminist character in the show, and that had been intended, but it wasn't necessarily written that way, was it, initially?
No, it was meant for a man, originally, and then the man didn't continue in the part, and then Honor Blackman took over, and they didn't change the script, and suddenly this woman had all the accomplishments of a man, which in fact was ahead of its time, because in the end women, of course, had those accomplishments and were able to look after themselves and be completely independent and have a parity with men, which is absolutely right.
But back in the day, when you were making it, you didn't have economic parity, did you? I mean, you weren't being paid what you should have been paid on that show.
No, I was paid less than the cameraman.
Oh, I know. I bet he didn't wear that outfit half as well as you did.
And so, did you fight for that, or did they eventually just wake up? Because you became a huge star as a result of that, so I guess they couldn't have done it without you as well.
Well, I don't know. It could have been somebody else, maybe. I don't know. All I know is that I found out I was earning less than the cameraman, and I said, just wait a minute. Hello? And suddenly I emerged as this rather mercenary creature who'd said it's not good enough. But sure enough, you know, the salary went up, and as the salary went up, so you were treated with more respect.
I mean, working with Patrick McNee, and I'm sure he supported you in that.
Oh, he was adorable.
He was incredible. The Avengers wouldn't have been the Avengers for me without you,
No, not without him.
Oh, the combo. Look at that combo.
No, he's just adorable.
So I'm thrilled to hear that he was lovely to work with, because you don't want to hear anything else
the best. Yeah, very much so. In fact, most people I work with are nice. I mean, I haven't come across a lot of shitbags.
No. But Danny, you'd love to play Bond, wouldn't you?
I'd like to do a Cockney Bond. I think there's room for a Cockney Bond. I think. Out the lager, shaken, you know, not stirred. Yeah, I'd love to have a go on that, you know what I mean?
Because I know you would love... And Sherlock, they wouldn't come knocking to you for Sherlock.
Well,
can you do
posh?
posh?
They won't, no, because you've just completely ruined me, but...
Well...
it may be, you know...
Listen, are you limiting your career?
No, I think
by being a sort of up-front Cockney?
No,
Could you do
I think...
Hamlet? Could you do...
No, do you know what? Do you know what? I couldn't be bollocksed. And I respect it, but it's a tough gig, and I respect anyone that does it. I think I could do Sherlock. I think it's a great role. Doctor Who, something like that.
Would you change your accent if you did Sherlock?
No, because I can't.
Would you pass it down to Danny?
Yes, my love.
I've got on there some quotes from Sherlock.
Well, that's good.
We can have a listen.
Very good idea.
Let's see. You can try them in posh if you want. Diana can give you a lesson.
Acting workshop,
Do the
Les.
snogging.
Loose and limber.
Loose
and limber.
Rock
Here
and
we go.
OK,
Rock
first
and
line.
Come on, Danny.
Tense.
Come on. All ears.
It is an old maxim of mine, when you have excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
That's
so
erotic.
good.
I'm out.
Yeah, but imagine it in Cockney. Why not? Why not? What? It's an old maximum. Why not? When you've excluded the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, what must be the truth, no?
Watson, you've just mugged me off. What's wrong? Would you ever lose it on stage? Would you...
Laugh?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes. That was one of my great weaknesses. It's awful. And I was in a play with Leslie Caron called Ondine about a mermaid who comes out of the river and falls in love with the prince, takes human form. And I was an Ondine in it, and I was dressed in a leotard with shell, right?
And 3 shells.
Ratty blonde hair and a hat with seaweed and shells around it. And I had to lean out of a window and try and allure the prince away from Ondine. And Prince was played by Richard Johnson, a very handsome man. He had his back to the audience, and he would look up at me, and he had on his face kind of like, are you out of your mind? Not in a million years. And so I started laughing, and I was called down to Miss Caron's dressing room. And she said, Diana, I hear you're laughing on stage. And I said, yes, Miss Caron, I'm terribly sorry. It's a weakness of mine. She said, I had the same weakness. I cured myself. Think of something sad. Think of being fired.
Dame Diana Rigg, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. That was fabulous.